the object that got thrown on the court in the third quarter. Just wondering what either of y'all's vantage on that was, and then just kind of with it being the second time that that happened this week in the league, do you guys just either of you have any feelings on that?
Yeah, I mean it's super disrespectful. I don't really get the point of it. It's really immature. Um, Whoever's doing it just needs to grow up.
Callie Finn, we're here today discussing a topic I do not want to discuss, and that is sex toys being thrown on the court at WNBA games. Okay? There was an incident that occurred in Atlanta when the Atlanta Dream played the Golden State Valkyries. I don't know why so many of these things involve the Golden State Valkyries, but then we heard from Elizabeth Williams, and that was after a game that the Valkyries were a part of again, and they played the Chicago Sky. And so she was asked about it because a sex toy was thrown on the court again. And it's always been a green sex toy. So there's a pattern to this, right? And so I agree with everything Elizabeth Williams said, okay? The league put out a statement over the weekend. There's been increased security since then. And they said, like, you will receive a 1-year ban, right? Now, last night, there was another incident. The Indiana Fever were in LA playing the Los Angeles Sparks, and another sex toy was thrown onto the court. And this time, it does appear that it hit Sophie Cunningham of the Indiana Fever. And, it's interesting, not interesting, but Sophie Cunningham actually tweeted and had said that she basically said, stop throwing these objects on the court. You could injure one of us, right? And then she now gets hit. So I almost feel like that was targeted. I don't think that was accidental that occurred, right? And so we do know there was also 2 other incidents that occurred yesterday, but the objects just didn't make it to the court. So one was at a game that I was covering, which was the Liberty and the Dallas Wings. It got thrown, didn't make it to the court, but it did apparently hit a child. There's video of it on the internet. Security, you see the security at Barclays Arena go over, they apologize, they take it. It's again another green sex toy object, right? I do appreciate whoever filmed the video, because whoever the person was that got hit by it is a minor. And so they didn't show the minor's face, but they're asking the minor on the video, are you okay? And then, at the Phoenix Mercury, my bad, they were playing a game against, I forget who they were playing last night, but they were playing a game, I think the Connecticut Sun, actually, my apologies, the Connecticut Sun, and there are reports from people in attendance that another object was thrown but did not make it to the court. And there are reports that, not confirmed yet, but from people who were in attendance at the game, they said the person who threw that was arrested. So we're still trying to confirm whether an arrest did occur. But there was an arrest from the second incident in Atlanta. Right. And there was a man arrested, and Callie, he said that he did it because he thought it would go viral. Like this individual didn't seem to think it was a big deal what he did, Callie. And, I think after the first time it happened, some players, depending on who it is, people kind of tried to joke about it. But as it's continued, Callie, this is problematic. And I just want to say for the record, I never thought it was funny, but there's so many layers to this, but this is very problematic. So I know that was a lot to lay out, but I need everyone to understand the timeline of what's happened to this point. And I'm going to, just ask you, Callie, just what is your opinion on this? But can you talk about some of the different layers to this and why what's happening is so problematic?
Absolutely. I mean, I think calling it layered is that's a great phrase to use because, like you mentioned, I think a lot of WNBA players started off trying to see the humor in it. I think that that's like the nature of a lot of people who are placed in situations where they are uncomfortable, right? And they're being subject to something they know they shouldn't. Humor sometimes is a good response. So we saw that initially. We saw Sydney Colson like on her podcast, kind of like, the mean green, the sub, like she embraced that. You know what I mean? You have Angel Reese here joking that it was Sydney who threw it, and she's like, "Why do you keep throwing your mean green in different arenas? It's getting weird." So like, yes, we players embraced it at first. I do think though, underneath that, immediately, like you said, there is an awareness like, hey, this is not actually funny, but we need to like make light of it. I think that's very common and it's understandable. So I don't, not to fault the players at all, but ultimately this is like an actual physical symbol of the misogyny that these players are facing, right? Like these are women at work. They're trying to do a job in sports, right? Which we know is a male dominated field and all these different things. Like we know that there are so many reasons why things are already difficult for these women basketball players. So now they have to go to work and worry about a sex object, which is, I mean, there are a lot of implications to that on its own that are just very sexist and misogynistic at face value, right? Just the imagery of it. They have to worry about that being physically thrown at them while they're trying to do their jobs. And also, this is a pivotal season for the WNBA. These players are fighting for equal revenue sharing. They're fighting to be paid what they are rightfully owed for the services that they're providing to this league. And you have lots of men who are telling them, oh, they're being ungrateful, they should stop complaining, all these different things, right? Or the worst thing, which is we're so accustomed to, I think, in the WNBA, which is people saying, oh, these women need to get into the kitchen and all these different sexist things. Like they don't need to be, it's all these, so it's like together combined, this is super offensive and dangerous. And it's not just like the imagery and what all of this represents. It's if you think about it, it's how are these sex objects getting into these arenas, which we don't need to go into, but it's not safe. It's literally not safe for them to be thrust. Thank you. Here you have Isabel Harrison saying, please do better. It's not funny. It never was funny. Throwing anything on the court is so dangerous for a multitude of reasons. Like this is like a health hazard. It's a physical issue. Imagine if somebody trips on something like this. Like we can really go down the list of why this is not funny
or
and why
hits
it's
them somewhere that injures them. I mean, it's definitely a player safety issue.
100%. So I do think, I mean, I think you alluded to it, but the WNBA did put out a statement. They did say, like the safety and well-being of everyone in the arenas is top priority. They talked about a minimum 1-year ban and subject to being arrested and prosecuted by local authorities. The man that you arrested, the 23-year-old man that you mentioned that was arrested, he was charged with a bunch of things. Like, and I want to say this so that people who are seeing it and thinking that this is like a joke and a funny thing that should continue can understand. You will be charged with disorderly conduct, public indecency and indecent exposure, and criminal trespassing. Like those are the potential charges. That's what this 23-year-old man was charged with when he was arrested. So I do think like I'm glad that we were able to make light of it at first. I don't fault the players for that. And I think that's an important ability to have, but 100% like it's not funny anymore and we got to take it seriously.
No, we do have to take it seriously. And, the head coach of the Los Angeles Sparks also made a statement about it yesterday after the game and, calling it ridiculous. And I'm just frustrated, Callie, that these women, the coaches, the players have to take the time, Callie, after games to respond to questions about this. Callie, I'm annoyed that we have to sit here today and cover this. I'm annoyed that other media members I know are now having to write about this. And we're reporting things to the league, and yes, it is our job to cover the WNBA, but this is ridiculous that we have to cover this. And, Megan Hall I'm going to look because she messaged me from USA Today's For the Win. Someone DM'd her. And this is just some random account on X. But I asked her if it was okay for me to share this because I want people to sort of understand some of the stuff we deal with on a day-to-day as we cover this league, and we don't talk about it, we don't put it out there, we share it with each other, right? But someone messaged her and claimed that they bet $50K that there would be another sex object thrown onto the court. Who knows if that's true? They, cursed at her in this tweet, or in this DM, rather, it was a direct message. But they said, I hope they throw sex objects. I'm using a different word, but I'm not like quoting directly. But this person is saying that they hope that they continue to do this at WNBA players for the rest of humanity. I thought they were all effing lesbians. They love these objects, right? This is what someone said to Megan, and then closed it out by trying to insult her looks, okay? So she had posted something about it, like calling it out, as I did and many people. And if you go to the comments of her post, there are people trying to justify this. There's so many people in the comments like, what's the big deal? It's just a prank. And I think, Callie, when you talked about misogyny on display, I just find so much irony in this because, like, this would never happen in the NBA. Are things thrown on the court? Sure. Word about whatever it is. People throw, and it's handled immediately. It's not a coordinated effort happening at multiple games on the same night across the league, and everyone's response to this is like, this is not cool. That person should be banned. They, people respond to it. Some people say ban needs to be longer. Here you have people mocking, ooh, ban from the WNBA, because they don't respect these women, they don't respect this league, and they don't respect these players. And this is just one of many things that happens, in the W and with covering the W. And you also talked about, like, we're not going to get into how it's getting into the arena, use your imagination. But I saw I thought, really important point that someone made, because we know that because this is happening, the league is going to do something, whether it's security being, amped up. I'm sure they're working on what that remedy will be to try to, like, nip this in the bud, right? But we know sometimes, I know as a lawyer, sometimes when we try to put rules and, like, regulations in place, right? Sometimes the reaction and what gets put in is sometimes too severe. Like, sometimes people feel like that about airports now because of the reaction, and we all get like, why, what was done. That's an extreme example that I'm using with 9/11. But what I'm saying is some people express like, we don't want whatever precautions may go in place to be discriminatory against someone who may be trans, right? And so whatever is going to come has to be very thoughtful solutions. But because people want to get viral moments, because there's misogyny, because this league is not respected, because these players are not respected, we have to spend our time thinking about stuff like this. And it is unfair to the players. It is unfair to those of us who cover the league. It is unfair to the LGBTQ plus community. It is unfair to so many people. And I am disgusted by it. I don't have the words to really communicate how it makes me feel, but it needs to stop. It needs to cease immediately. These players need to be protected, Callie.
100%. And all the people that you mentioned, I hate to even add this. Like, I don't want to be like, think about the children, but seriously, like, there are so many young people who look up to these players, right? And it is like it's the highlight of whatever time of the year or whatever to go see these players perform at a high level. And to think that there are kids, like there are minors who are being exposed to something like this
or being
in
hit.
an environment like that. Like, and I'm like, really, that I know I'd seen that before, but like to hear it again, it just like the visceral reaction, that is so unacceptable. So I think to me, it's like, yes, all the things you mentioned, 100%, all of that, but also the kids.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's a great call out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to end here. I don't want to be speaking about this again, Callie. I don't want to have to talk about this again. But thank you for tuning in with us and following along. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, the WNBA on NBC. We appreciate you.